Welcome back to Two Doulas in the Pod, the podcast where we discuss all things advocacy, birth, and everything in between. I'm your host, Fatihma,
And I'm your host, Arlicia. Welcome back, y'all.
welcome back. So today's topic is
The snapback
the
culture.
snapback culture. Snapback or snatched or healing, the truth about snapback culture. So let's get into it.
All right.
Let's really get into it.
This is an interesting topic you picked.
Yes.
I
You can
must
tell
say.
I was excited about
I
it.
see.
So let's get into it. What is snapback culture? Obviously, societal pressure for birthing people to snap back, meaning snap back to the body that you had before pre-pregnancy, or even if you didn't have that body, to snap into something that never existed. Yeah.
What?
Or the bounce back quickly, or you should recover, and you see all these women online just losing
Yes.
all their baby fat in 6 months after postpartum.
Yes.
And it is possible, but is it possible for everyone?
Girl, between flat tummy teas, waist trainers, and fad diets.
Yeah. Like, is that realistic? And is that something that you should actually be thinking about or should prioritize after birth, especially immediately after birth? Because we all know that health is wealth. And I believe that outside of aesthetics, getting healthy is super important. So if that's your reason for wanting to lose lots of weight right after birth, then so be it.
Absolutely.
If you can do it in a healthy way that's not going to jeopardize your life, then I say do it.
Or if you have a condition that may indicate that you need to, lose some weight post pregnancy,
Yeah.
then, I would hope we would do that under the guidance of, professionals
Yes.
and not just, influencers online.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into it today, talking about the mental, physical, spiritual, and some cultural aspects, how this, influences us women today.
Yes. So let's talk about the harm that snapback culture causes. It really undermines real healing, physically and mentally. I can't imagine having to have a baby, and I have this baby, and I did one of the most magical and dangerous and life-altering natural process of life, and I'm worried about, like, oh, well, I should snap back into whatever size 2,
And
size 10,
what are we
size
snapping
12.
back to?
What am I snapping back to?
I thought a snapback was a cap.
Yeah. And just like, why is that the focus? I know as women, we already experience a lot of pressure as far as aesthetics, but have some grace for yourself, and nobody around you should be pressuring you to look any type of way after you've had a baby. It doesn't matter if it was 3 years after you had a baby, because it's really all. Are you concerned about my health, or are you concerned about aesthetics? Because there's a difference between aesthetic and wanting to lose weight for aesthetics and wanting to lose weight for health reasons.
Absolutely.
It increases postpartum anxiety, depression, and body shame. It disregards hormonal shifts, which is super important and super relevant to your emotions and how you already feel about yourself.
Right, after having a baby.
After having a baby, because especially if it's your first baby, you've never looked like this before. And you can go, it's such a huge shift when you go from people loving your belly and, you look so beautiful and you're glowing and la 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 la, and then now you're fat.
You know what? Now that you
What?
you point that out, right? But that's so crazy. For 9.5 months, you're growing like a whole human, right? And now you
stretching and spreading, and
Yes.
your nose is spreading, your face is swollen, your
organs
ankles are
shifting,
swole.
right? And now the baby is here, and now you have the remnants of your pregnant body
Your journey, your
and
magicalness.
Right, your war wounds, and now that's being held against you.
Now I have what they be calling the
Battle scars.
I really only hear men saying this, but saying your stomach look like a cream pie, that's crazy to say.
What?
I've heard, the cream pie snack, and it has
Yeah.
like indent, and it looks like a belly with stretch marks on it, and that's what they're saying.
What, girl?
I've seen it all online. That's crazy.
I've never heard that.
You say that to me and see what happens.
Girl, I know you swing on somebody.
Say that to me and see what happens. Anyways, and even if you don't have a lot of stretch marks, or your body does naturally snap back, that is wonderful. But everybody is not built that way.
Everybody's genetics is different.
Completely
right?
different.
Our genetics are not the same. So it's going to take time for me. It might take more time for me than it took you to, get back to your pre-pregnancy body. So that expectation really is it's very outlandish and unrealistic.
Yeah. And it really dismisses the postpartum body as broken and in need of fixing, when your postpartum body is evidence of the most beautiful and the most sacrificial thing that you could possibly do, which is bring a life in this world. So the people around you, especially your partner, they should be embracing you and loving on you and kissing those stretch marks, okay?
Hello.
You shouldn't be complaining about anything, because I gave life. And that is not a small thing. It's not a small deed, okay? No. And it's especially hard on Black women.
Why is that? Why is it so much harder on us as Black women? Or maybe we only identify with that because we are Black and not really, I guess, going outside of our community to really explore what that looks like in other races and cultures, because I'm sure they experience it too.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they experience it in different ways, but I think on a public scale, we experience it the most because we're always expected to be put together, and we don't have the opportunity to be like a postpartum mom and be unkept and just throw your hair in a bun. Right. Edges have to be laid, body have to be snatched, waist have to be small, booty have to be big. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Or you're the strong one. You can't fall apart, and you have to be put together at all times. And
it's ridiculous.
There's no grace for us
at all. No grace women whatsoever. It's in straight pressure, for us, and it's not fair, and it really does affect us emotionally and mentally, and it is the reason why a lot of us really struggle during postpartum. Really, it is one of the reasons. Let's talk about the root of this. Where did this come from? So it really is tied to colonialism and patriarchy, because I'm not going to say I hate to, but a lot of the issues that we have as a society, as Black people, is rooted in colonialism and slavery. Because imagine what it was like for enslaved women to give birth and be right back working in the house or in the fields. There was no time to rest. There was no time to recover. I'd be surprised if you had a pleasant birth at that point.
Right.
Because most likely it was not pleasant.
Right. And like you said, they had to go back to work, either in the field or the house. They were also made to be the wet nurses for the white children. Yes. So their babies then got robbed of
the nurturing
and the suckling,
the nutrients,
and the breastfeeding and the bonding. Yes. The emotional connection. So, yeah, I guess I would agree that a lot of this is probably stemmed or rooted from that.
So imagine the state of mind, and as we're all aware, and if you're not aware, then you know now, that these traumas and these behaviors or survival behaviors are passed down genetically. So having to go right back to work and having to feel like you need to put yourself together and making the baby cry it out, or having to hand your baby off to a daycare at 6 weeks, which is crazy that we have to do that at all.
Right. These jobs are expecting you back in 6 weeks. Say like you had a vaginal delivery, or 8 weeks you had a C-section. Your stomach literally just got cut open.
Yes.
And now you have to be back to work.
Now you're at risk for infection and pain and healing and tearing.
Yes.
And just think about the similarities of enslaved life versus how we live now. That portion, a lot of these things are it hasn't changed at all.
No.
Black women are historically forced to labor soon after birth, which is going back to work or going back to domestic work.
So just assuming
Like
regular
cooking.
responsibilities
Yes.
too soon.
Yes. So being the woman of the house and having to cook, like men, seriously, figure it out. Figure it out. Like this lady should not be up cooking and cleaning after you after she just had a baby. Like we should just start suing these people. Honestly,
Girl, good luck.
It's ridiculous that they should even feel, even if you're not being forced to, you should not even feel pressure to do these things. Because I feel like if that's the case, then you're not with the right person. Eurocentric beauty standards and social media influence, because of social media.
Yeah, I was gonna say social media is like plays a huge part in it.
It really has altered our perception of what beauty is, of how the body works, what birthing is like, and what postpartum is like, because it's just ridiculous. Like you have women literally out here killing themselves trying to get surgery right after having a baby, and desperate, just going to anybody to literally alter their body so that they can fit in some type of standard or beauty standard because their body has changed after having a child.
Now, you know, the only instance I would probably consider a surgery is if you had a baby or babies and you develop diastasis recti.
Yeah.
Right? And there are degrees to that. And diastasis recti, for those in the audience who aren't familiar, that is when the separation of the abdominal muscles happen from the stretching, from being pregnant. So, you know, there are exercises that you can do to help repair that, but oftentimes that doesn't really do the trick. So that separation still remains. So I would consider it then if that degree of separation was just, that large.
In all honesty, I honestly don't think it's nothing wrong with if you want to get surgery, but to rush and to put yourself in danger. If you want to even if you had one, but me personally, I've only got one, and I may plan on having more. So it doesn't make sense for me to rush and go get surgery because I feel pressure or alter my body because you're going to turn back around and have another baby.
Right.
So why not take your time, do your research, really make sure that this is exactly what you want to do. Yes. This is the person that you want to do it. This is safe.
Make an informed decision.
Here we go. Bingo. Light bulb. You use this.
Make an informed decision.
Yes. Use your brain, please. Make an informed decision. You know, sometimes I see people online, they already got the surgery scheduled. They just had the baby. Girl. And you look at celebrities, and I'm going to call you out. Cardi B, a lot of these, smaller influencers, well, you see they, right after pregnancy, they will go get surgery. And at the end of the day, she's a grown woman, and she is rich. She's rich. She has people there to take care of her. To take care of her children while she's recovering. Yep. So there's nothing wrong with being a regular person, economically, physically, but if you don't have that, you don't have it. I don't think you should be following Cardi B. That is a very special circumstances, and that lady has to work for her money, and she has the resources to get the type of care that she needs. But there's literally women dying to look beautiful, and I think that is crazy. And that you have the pressure to be desirable for your partner, proving that you are handling it well, and that could be physically, That could be emotionally, mentally. Like, if you are not feeling safe enough to just be, to recover, to heal, to be postpartum, you just had a baby.
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
gonna look exactly the same.
No.
You're not gonna feel the same. Conversations need to be had before the baby is conceived, because that's where it's gonna start. Not after you conceive, not after you're married.
Yeah.
You need to have these conversations, vetting your partners at the first date. Maybe not the first date, but early on, so that like you have these feelings, or if you want to be prepared for birth, that is the way to prepare. How are you going to take care of me when I'm the most vulnerable?
When I told you, when I have a baby, I would rather spend the money on a personal trainer.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it just makes sense. And it's, for me, I feel like that would be more sustainable.
Yeah.
Versus having a procedure.
Yeah.
For instance. At least with the working out, I train my body consistently. I learn the proper way to eat, as far as dieting. I don't really want to call it a diet. It's just a lifestyle modification. But I feel like over the long term, that's a better investment of my money and resources versus running out, and then you get the surgery, you got to go to the gym anyway.
Yes, you do.
To maintain it. It's just
That's
not going to
something
stay
I
in
did
place.
not know until I've
girl.
seen other people experience,
Oh, yes. I've seen
not
it up
snapping
close.
back.
Look, I've seen it up close, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then they start to just kind of fall off and not be as consistent with their gym routine. But once you get that surgery, y'all, you must.
You have to maintain it,
must
because
maintain
that is an even bigger investment than a trainer.
Yes.
And let's just say, for instance, Arlicia is very active. She's always been super health conscious, which is wonderful. But what about the people who are not used to that? And I think that's where a lot of the pressure and anxiety for being fit or looking a certain way, because I always say, like I said before, your health is wealth, but some people have different phenotypes. They have different genetics,
Right.
and you could be completely healthy but not look like your traditional fit person.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, your body type, your body structure.
Yes, my body type is completely different from Arlicia, and I am a bill of health, complete bill of health. And I've always been healthy. I've played sports all my life. I have been active, but I've always been curvy and plus size. And that's something that I'm completely comfortable with. There's been times in my life where I've prioritized fitness more, and I looked a little less curvy, but I've always been like this. And sometimes people take your weight as a description of your health, and that's not necessarily true. So you have to consider that when you're speaking to someone, especially a postpartum mother. You don't just say, especially in Black households, Caribbean households, Lord.
Okay.
Lord.
Weight is a huge thing. Either you're too skinny or you're too fat.
And they just come out and say whatever they want to say. And y'all have to start defending. Y'all have to start correcting these people.
Yes.
Because it's not acceptable for you to just talk to anyone that way, especially after she's had a baby.
Yes.
Like, have some sense, have some grace. Do better. Do better, Black people. Do better.
So what are some solutions and affirmations that we can start to implement and possibly train our family members and just kind of get them on board with the whole body positivity, right?
Yeah.
Don't beat a woman when she's down.
Yeah.
She's vulnerable. She's got all these hormones flowing. Everything has shifted. Come on. I mean, we need time to really feel restored in our health and just getting back on track.
Yeah.
But seriously, what can we do to make sure that we're good?
Yeah. So healing looks like postpartum is just a season. It's not a deadline. It's not a requirement. There are no, uh, you know, you don't have any exams. Like you, it just is. It looks like how it looks like on you. It looks completely different on everyone. So your version of your mom or grandma could have snapped back or not
Right.
snap back.
Right.
Because half of the time they be not snap back
Right.
and telling you should be snap back, and then you should be snapping back at them. Okay, respectfully.
But let's normalize our postpartum
Yeah.
bodies and changes, our tiger stripes,
Yes.
our stretch marks, right? The cocoa butter works.
Yeah.
So we can get with that, right?
Yeah.
Resting.
Yes.
Rest is essential. We all need rest. The body needs rest to heal and to recover. So it is essential that you incorporate rest into your routine. Pregnant, postpartum, or not pregnant.
Or not, you need
Right.
rest. It's
Everybody,
really important.
right? Everybody needs sleep.
Yeah,
So
and
that-
nutrition, of course.
Nutrition is a big
You
one.
want to consider your diet after postpartum, because outside of aesthetics, nutrition is really important for rebalancing your hormones, breast milk production, your well-being in general. A nice warm meal is a lot better than McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
A nice home cooked warm meal.
Soup, proteins like chicken. You just something made with love, something made with care and intention that is nutritional. Those are the things that I know is different culturally, but most cultures have their postpartum meals.
Right, and they have their postpartum traditions
Yes.
and routines.
Yes.
Like the Asians.
Yeah, like staying in the house
stay in
for
the
6
house.
weeks.
They literally stay in the house for 40 days. You bathe in herbs. You sit on the steam pot. Some Caribbean cultures do that. So all of these things, and you're not allowed to go out the house
Yes.
for those 40 days. The baby can't go out the house for those 40 days, except for the first doctor's appointment. But we really need to bring those practices and traditions back, so that we feel like we're on the mend and we're healing our bodies.
Yeah, and if you are healing properly, maybe you will snap back a little faster.
Oh yes.
I think that's another major thing,
Oh,
is
that's
that
key.
because we're not getting the proper care during pregnancy and postpartum,
Yep.
you snap back a little slower because you're not getting cared for. You're not able to rest. You're not able to release that as much oxytocin as you need that will contract and pull your muscles back in. And your body needs to be able to heal, and it needs to be in a safe space to heal. So if you really want to snap back, then you need to prioritize healing and rest and
Absolutely.
nutrition.
So I have a question for the audience as we wrap this up, this episode. How did you feel about your body after birth? Did you feel the pressure to snap back? If so, what helped you to embrace your new body? This is your new normal. We'd like to hear from you, so you can drop it in the comments below. You can share your comments on YouTube, or you can send us a DM on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes. And lastly, normalize things like therapy, speaking to a counselor, speaking to a friend. Normalize hiring a doula, because if you don't have the support that you need to get all of these
Right.
healing, consider outsourcing that.
Yes.
With that being said, prioritize yourself during that period. Don't give in to the pressures of snapback culture. You are beautiful. You were beautiful with the baby in your belly, and you are beautiful with the baby outside of your belly.
Absolutely. Affirm yourself, ladies.
Yes.
Affirm yourself.
Yes.
So that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us here on the couch.
See you next time. Bye.